didn't expect that. Oh my gosh. It's amazing. Well, hey everybody, it's Sherman Ray, and this is the TNC podcast. Really excited about the show today. Today we're going to be pulling back the curtain, folks, on something most Americans still don't want to believe. While we're all busy building our fortunes, and the Chinese Communist Party is stealing it piece by piece, secret by secret, right here on American soil. This episode is all about being straight, and it's all about a latest article that we've got on the Nevada Conservative about China's intellectual theft of U.S. military tech, AI breakthroughs, and the economic engine that powers Nevada families and American jobs. We're talking about systematic espionage here, folks, that the FBI says is unlike anything anyone has ever faced. This is going to be big, folks. I mean, this is going to be a big episode, and I encourage you folks to stick around, because when we come back, you're going to hear all about China, the growing the growing threat of China exposed on the Nevada Conservative. So stick around, folks. We'll be back in just a second. Alrighty, folks, this is Sherman Ray, and I'm back. This is the TNC podcast, the Nevada Conservative. Guys, I'm trying to write out a lot of my stuff now, right at the beginning, and sometimes you just can't read it as well as you wrote it. So it's all right. We're all good. So today we're going to talk about the growing threat of China. Okay, the growing China threat. And I was watching just recently, you watch some of these broadcasts and you go, my gosh, how come nobody knows about this and about this thing or that thing? And I would come to find out that it's because really nobody in the, out in the marketplace is really saying anything about it. But we're going to talk about it today. We're going to talk about the growing threat of China in our marketplace, folks, and this is pretty big. Before we get going too much further, I want to encourage you, go ahead and subscribe to our channel, our YouTube channel. Let us know that you love us, that you really want to hear more about what we're doing. I also encourage you, if you ever get to go onto our website, thenevadaconservative.com, that you go ahead and check that out, and a Facebook page, Instagram, X, and a lot of people, we didn't notice we had so many people that were following us on Instagram, and there's about 400 people watching us on Instagram, and almost twice that many on Facebook, and but we want to build up our YouTube channel. We really do, because I really feel like that this is one of those venues where you need to hear what we're talking about. So what's going on with China, folks? This is the big thing. Many of you probably heard that China has. There was a recent article, and you can look at it on our website at thenevadaconservative.com, where a 22-year-old kid was caught on a military base taking pictures and basically trying to divulge any information he could about our military base. But it goes even further than that. There's a recent, and we'll talk a little bit more about it later, but there was a recent Senate subcommittee that were talking about how China has been using cloak and dagger, using espionage, using all kinds of methodology to steal intellectual property, whether it be military or economic, AI, hacking, all those things, to be dominant on the world stage. And that's really what we're talking about today. So in this first segment, we're going to talk about the decades-long blitz. So the history of what China has been doing to get this edge, because their ultimate goal, folks, their ultimate goal is to be the number one economic superpower and military superpower on the planet. And they don't care how they do it. That's the problem. They don't care how they do it. They, we look at certain platforms like Temu, and there used to be a time when if you bought anything from China, that meant it was crap. And now people are going, oh, just buy it. It's Chinese made. As a matter of fact, let me see. Let's see. I've got a baseball here. Not a baseball, a golf ball here. Let's see where I got this thing from. Doesn't say where it actually is made from. But I can almost guarantee you this thing is made in China. Ultimately, it'll be made in China. And for all we know, folks, this simple thing like a golf ball, okay, just a memorabilia thing, is a listening device for all we know. We don't know, okay? But this is the length to what these people will do to actually get to where they want to go. So, like I said, we're going to be writing an article about this. So stick around, folks, on this, and you will find out that this is pretty amazing stuff. Okay. First, let's talk about China's decade-long espionage blitz. Let's zoom out first. How long has this been going on? And this is my biggest question. How far is Beijing willing to go to dominate America? The answer will shock you, because it isn't a recent headline. It's a 20-year strategy. Get this, a 20-year strategy that's accelerated under Xi Jinping, and is now costing us hundreds of billions of dollars every year. Since 2000, the Center for Strategic and International Studies has tracked 224 publicly reported Chinese espionage cases in the United States. I want you to get that. Each year, say, it's tracked since 2000. 224 publicly reported Chinese espionage cases in America. More than any other nation. And that's not as though China's the only country that's trying to, find out what we're doing here in America, but China by far is the biggest one. 69% of those cases exploded after Xi took power in 2022 and 2013, right alongside Beijing's Made in China 2025 blueprint to seize global leadership in AI, semiconductors, aerospace, and biotech. So China's made it one of their calling cards to be the number one country in AI, in semiconductors, and in aerospace. And a space that has been traditionally held by the United States. And many people don't realize it, but we're in a race. We're not in a war, a conventional kinetic war with China. We're in a cyber war with them. We're in a strategic war with them, and one that they've accelerated their proxies, and we're going to talk about those in just a couple of minutes, to a point where we're saying to ourselves, are they winning this war? Are they winning this race in AI, semiconductors, and aerospace? And I think we found out a lot about it in 2020 when we had COVID, and we found out that our supply chains were just basically all in China. And I think many of you remember about that. Not only is our supply chain for semiconductors in China, but our supply chain for antibiotics are in China. And many of the goods, toilet paper, for goodness sake, is in China. It's amazing. It's Made in China 2025 blueprint. The FBI opens a new China-related counterintelligence case every 10 to 12 hours here in the United States. Economic espionage tied to China has surged 1,300% in the last decade. That's an amazing number, folks. Every 10 to 12 hours, they open up another case. The FBI says, guys, there's another one. There's another espionage case that is linked to China here. They use every tool. Human spies, we're going to talk about that in just a second. Inside companies and universities, massive cyber hacking programs larger than every other nation combined. And I want that to sink in for just a second, folks, that China has a cyber hacking program that is bigger than all the other nations combined. Now, they have 1 billion people, and you can imagine 100,000, maybe closer to 1 million people working on cyber hacking alone for one reason, and that one reason alone, to get inside the network here in the United States, to find out what we're doing. And in some cases, we willingly do it. We willingly give them the information. I can tell you right now, and one of the things that I'll put this out there early, is that we probably should get rid of anything that that says made in China on it in your house. Any electronic device, anything that you buy on the internet that comes from China, I probably would say no, I don't want to buy it from China, because they're using any means they can to listen to you, to find out what you're doing. It could be your phone, okay? It could be the apps that you use. They're using every means they can to find out what Americans are doing, how they're doing it, and how to influence us. And it's part of their overall strategy. They use every tool, human spies inside of companies and universities, massive cyber hacking programs larger than every other nation combined, and hybrid tactics like joint ventures and supply chain infiltration. So here's the joint venture thing that they use. And this is interesting, that if you, as a company, you find out, boy, you've got this great product. Woohoo, you got this great product, and China says, we'd like to partner with you on it. Well, if you move that company over to China, guess what you're going to have to do? You're going to have to sign over all of your intellectual property to China. It's no longer yours. So much that we could talk about. There's just so much. Let's take a really quick break here, folks. And when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about the growing China threat, how it's using cyber attacks on us, and how it's using AI to become the global leader ahead of the United States. This is Sherman Ray, and this is the Nevada Conservative. We'll be back in just a second. All right, we are back, folks. This is Sherman Ray, and this is the Nevada Conservative Podcast, the TNC Podcast, broadcast from Las Vegas, Nevada. Hope you're all enjoying your day. I encourage you to if you're really digging this broadcast, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Share the podcast with as many friends as you can. We really encourage you to share this. Share it with as many people as you can, because a lot of this stuff you're not going to hear on the mainstream media. You might hear a blurb here and there, but you're not going to get any in-depth stuff from the talking heads. But on the Nevada Conservative Podcast, you're going to get a little bit more meat, what we call meat. Today, we're talking about the growing China threat, how it's using espionage, AI, intellectual property theft to become the dominant force on the planet. We were just talking about how they're using, in the first segment anyways, and how they were using joint ventures. And I want to finish up that section because I really want to get on, because there's so much more, and I want to make sure we get everything in today. That they're using joint ventures to get your intellectual property. Because if you go over to China and you decide you've got this great product that you've got, maybe you've got some ear pods or something like that, China wants that intellectual property, and they're going to make you sign over everything you have to them once you become part of their cabal. Their targets, who are they targeting? They're targeting everything from jet engines to undersea warfare, missiles, AI models. I mean, they don't. It really doesn't matter what they're doing. Anything you've got, they want, because now they don't have to actually think about it themselves. And I want you to think about it this way. Think of somebody. Let's say you spend 10 years trying to figure out how to make this great pen. Okay, wonderful pen. Ooh, all the technology and everything else. You go over to China, and China gets this, and they reproduce what you've done in like a week. And you've spent millions, maybe billions of dollars trying to figure out how to make this great space-age pen. And I'm being facetious here. But that's the same thing they do with technology, jet engines. The F-35 jet, they've got the J-35 jet. And it looks almost exactly the same. Somehow or another, they got some goofball over at Lockheed or whatever it was, whoever manufactured the plane for us, and they were able to get that technology from American sources and reproduced it in China. They're doing the same thing with AI technology. They're doing anything and everything they're trying to get their hands on. The annual cost to the U.S. economy, between $225 to $600 billion annually in stolen intellectual property. That's not bribery, okay? That's not theory. That's the IP Commission's benchmark, and the majority points straight to China. Okay, our people say that this all goes straight back to China. Recent Capitol Hill testimony, House Select Committee on the CCP just 2 weeks ago in April April 7th of 2026. Senate Judiciary hearing all this stuff, and they leapfrog us because now they don't have to figure it out. All they do is copy what we've done. One recent example, Chinese films using distillation attacks to steal outputs from U.S. AI models millions of times over. And this is the interesting thing about it, is they can do whatever we do, folks, and it's scary. It's scary the amount of work that we have to do with things that they're able to just leapfrog over the top of. Anyways, let's do this. We're going to take a really quick break here, folks, and when we come back, we're going to start talking about the 1,000 Talents program. Okay, the 1,000 Talents program, and this is going to blow your mind. I guarantee you. You've probably never heard about this before. You're going to hear about it in this next segment on the TNC podcast. I'm Sherman Ray. We'll be back in just a second. All right, folks, we're back. This is Sherman Ray, and this is the TNC podcast. Thank you for being along on the broadcast, folks. It's really it's a great show today. I mean, no doubt about it. We're talking about the growing China threat and how China is going, they've gone ballistic on us to try to get our intellectual property, AI theft, cyber hacking, anything they can. We're not in a kinetic war in a conventional set, or a conventional, setting. We're in a digital. We're in a cyber war with China, and that's something we've got to get a hold of. In this segment right here, folks, we're going to talk about a deep dive into a program most of you probably have never heard about, and it's called the 1,000 Talents program. And this is what it is, okay? Beijing has a specific blueprint for recruiting American insiders, okay? It's called the 1,000 Talents program. It was launched in 2008 and still running strong today under rebranded names like Kim Ing. And that is the CCP's talent recruitment scam that turns our best scientists and engineers into unwitting or witting assets for China's military and economic dominance. Okay, and this is an interesting thing. So sometimes you don't know about it. You know, sometimes guys going, hey, guess what? I'm working on such and such a program, didn't know anything about it, and then it ends up in Beijing. And the other times is we know these people know exactly what they're doing. They're recruited, you know, less like the KGB does, recruited, and then they go out and they give information to Beijing, betraying their own country. Let's do a deep dive. Let me show you how it works, okay? The Thousand Talents program was designed to reverse China's brain drain and hit Xi's tech supremacy goals. Beijing has recruited thousands of U.S.-based experts in AI, biotech, aerospace, and semiconductors. The lure? Contracts promising $50,000 a month. Come on, guys. There's a lot of people who would give their arm and a leg for $50,000 a month. How about $150,000 in living expenses? Multi-million-dollar labs in China? Housing, prestigious titles. Some guys dig that stuff. In return, recruits are expected to share U.S. research, trade secrets, and know-how, often while still drawing American salaries and grants. Okay, let's stop for a second there. So here's the thing that they do, is they go out to XYZ University, they see XYZ professor there, he's slaving over his, you know, a lab coat and stuff like that, and pencil pocket protector and everything else, and he's probably making, you know, $60,000 a year, $70,000 a year, and this Chinese guy comes up and he goes, I can help you, and I can make what you're making a month, or in a year you can make every month, plus living expenses, plus a babe. We'll give you a babe, and we'll give you free reign of anything you want in China. All you got to do is leave your job here and go to China. And the guy says, yeah. Living expenses, $150,000 a month in living expenses, plus you're still getting your $50,000, $60,000 here in the United States, and being unappreciated by the American public. That's amazing, isn't it? You know, there's and then folks, I'm going to just add this in here. I'm not saying this is what happened, folks, but we've just lost, I don't know how many spies, or excuse me, people from 11 different people who have either died or gone missing in America. Some of our top scientists have gone missing over the last number of years. How do we know that they're not in China right now? Because some of them are gone, just gone. We don't know. We just don't know at all. Not saying that's what happened, but it's but based upon this, we don't know that isn't happening. Okay. Many never disclose their ties, violating university rules or federal law. The FBI calls these talent plans the spearhead of China's economic espionage. It's economic espionage. So they don't have to fire a bullet. They don't have to do anything. All they've got to do is convince Americans to betray their country. Participation isn't illegal if fully disclosed. But the lies and the IP and the intellectual property handover are. Okay? The problem is that there's no law that says you can't work for China. There's no law that says you can't, you know, if I want to right now and I want to work on some project or something like that and get money from China, no law against that, okay? But there is a law that if I'm working for a university and I decide that I'm going to use the university funds, what I'm doing for the university or for the military contractor or something like that, that I've promised that I would use my intellectual, my intellect to develop something, that is now the company's stuff. That's an American product now. It is not, you cannot sell that to China without disclosing it. And that's what they do. Real world examples are that will make your blood boil. Okay, let me give you a couple of them. Okay, just a couple of examples. Dr. Yu Long, senior engineer at a U.S. defense contractor, stole proprietary files on the F-22. the F-35. Remember the F-35? That's the guy. Jet engines, and handed these to Chinese institutes to mature Beijing's aircraft program. You know what they thought? Well, you know what? We shouldn't be the only country with, state-of-the-art armament. Let's give some to China. Golly, I can't believe it. There's another guy, his name is Jiarong Yu in Tennessee, used 1,000 talents grants to steal BPA-free plastic coating secrets from U.S. firms. Another guy named Shengong Gong, a dual citizen engineer in Silicon Valley, stole over 3,600 files on military-grade radar and missile components while pitching the same tech to Chinese tech programs. Dude, you got to be kidding me. He's going, hey, guess what? America, hey, one of you guys, you get it. Oh, maybe you get it. Chump. What a chump. It's amazing. Even Harvard's Charles Lieber, chemistry chair, secretly joined for $50,000 a month, plus $1.5 million lab. They gave him a lab, and lied to everyone about it. Isn't that amazing? That these guys would do this. And guys, guess what? In our next segment, in our final segment today, you're not going to believe where we could be a petri dish. There could be a way that we're actually doing this to ourselves, and we just don't even know it. You'll find out about it, okay? You'll find out what's happening on our university campuses on our next segment, the TNC podcast. We'll be back in just a second. Stick around. Alrighty, folks, we're back for the final segment. We're going to go over, guys, because we really do have to get this in. Today we're talking about the growing China threat and how they're using espionage, and they're using the 1,000 Talents program, stuff like that, to steal our intellectual property. I know it's hard to say. The intellectual property for America. But I think one of the things is that we probably are missing in this whole thing, too, is we allow into our universities a lot of Chinese students to our universities each and every year. Each one of them paying full boat to go to some of our most prestigious colleges. And we do it because, you know what? We're just a great old country, aren't we? We like to allow our number one enemy in the world, okay? Economically, of course. We don't fight with China, okay? That would be stupid. But they are definitely our adversary. And so what we decide, you know what we're going to do is, because we share so much with Beijing, that we're going to let them come over and get their people smart too. So I want you to get this, okay? Chinese students and U.S. universities. This is our third segment, folks, in our final segment. We're going to run over, so I'm going to let everybody know about this, because we're going to get in as much of this as we can. We just saw how the 1,000 Talents recruits insiders. But where does this pipeline start? Okay, where does the 1,000 Talents program start? Right on our own university campuses. Hundreds of thousands of Chinese nationals study in America each and every year, folks. Many in the exact STEM fields, okay? Science, technology, engineering, mathematics, that power our military, edge, and AI future. Some of them are studying the exact same things our guys do, okay? Matter of fact, some of them we're training to replace American workers. The obvious question, Does this open door policy expose the United States to espionage and intellectual property theft? The FBI and Capitol Hill say yes. And the evidence is mounting. I want you to get this, folks. We are not a racist country by any stretch of the imagination, but you should not be stupid, okay? By us allowing communist students into our country who are, they pledge allegiance not to America, but they pledge allegiance to the CCP. We know that they're going back to China to basically empower their own country to defeat us, and we do it every year anyways. Roughly 277,000 Chinese nationals are currently studying in the U.S. universities, with heavy concentration in graduate STEM programs, okay, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. About 16% of all U.S. graduate STEM students, okay? Many are funded by the Chinese government through programs like the China Scholarship Council, okay? So we know where the money's coming from. We're so stupid. I can't believe we are the most stupid people on the planet. The FBI labels some of these students, especially postgrads and postdoctorates in sensitive fields, as non-traditional collectors for Chinese intelligence. Okay, they are non-traditional collectors for Chinese intelligence. I want to say that again. They are non-traditional collectors for Chinese intelligence, which means they're not regular spies. They're student spies. They're pimple-faced spies. Okay. Under Beijing's national intelligence laws, every, get this, PRC, People's Republic of China citizen, can be compelled to assist. I'm going to say that again. Under their national intelligence laws, they have laws, okay? If you are a person who is a citizen of the PRC, you are compelled to assist them. They access taxpayer-funded labs, then funnel research back home or get recruited into talent programs. So we know on every stinking college campus, 277,000 little spies are on every one of our campuses nationwide. Or potentially, I should say potentially, sorry. Potentially. I know we're running over, folks. I'm sorry. Recent cases, 5 Chinese nationals at the University of Michigan indicted for photographing U.S.-Taiwan military exercises. Stanford researchers concealing PLA ties while sending updates to Chinese entities. The House Select Committee on the CCP has documented over 500 U.S. universities collaborating with Chinese military-linked researchers. You've got to be kidding me. This is ridiculous. You know, sometimes I when I research this stuff, I go, we've got to be crazy. We are our own. We are worse than a bunch of Republicans trying to win a political race. We would do anything to shoot ourselves in our own foot. We would snatch victory. We'd snatch defeat out of the hands of victory. China is not our military threat because they don't have to be. Because we are basically just opening up we're laying there with everything exposed, telling them, come on in and take whatever you want. The House Select Committee just this week, okay, it was just reported this week, just found out that, guys, guess what? We've got to stop this. We've got to tighten these loopholes because guess what? We are on a collision course with disaster. I'm not trying to tell you, I'm not trying to be scary. I'm not trying to tell you guys that tomorrow China is going to come across the border and take America, okay? I am saying this, that we as a nation need to get our act together and start seeing what we are exposing ourselves to and stop it as quickly as possible, okay? Anyways, this has been Sherman Ray for the Nevada Conservative Podcast, the TNC Podcast. You can get this podcast, folks, or any one of our other podcasts on Spotify. You can probably check out the video on YouTube. It's always up on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, The Nevada Conservative. Go ahead and subscribe to our channel. Subscribe to our Instagram and our X accounts where we post every single day. And go ahead on our website, guys. Get on our website, because our website's got all kinds of articles about some cool stuff. You can actually read this article that we'll post on this. We're going to probably post it in 3 different segments, but you can actually check it out on our website too. Anyways, folks, have a wonderful day. We will see you again tomorrow for the TNC podcast. It's been Sherman Ray. We'll see you again tomorrow. Peace.